Well, we are live. I am so happy. And Alejandro Tornato here, coming directly from beautiful and sunny Beaufort, Georgia. Would you believe that? And I cannot be more happy and thrilled and just on top of the world today because guess what? I have another great a friend, another great colleague, another great influencer. Because what we're doing today is part of my segment that I called Conversations with Influencers. And of course, that doesn't refer to me. It refers to the guest that I have next to me, and that is Melahni Ake. And I just want to be the first one, Melahni, to thank you for your time. Thank you for your willingness to be here. And thank you for your willingness to bring all that charisma, all that passion, all that enthusiasm. And I tell you, for those who are watching right now, or those who are going to get the replay later on, I just want to tell you a secret, okay? A very quick secret. With Melahni, we have not shared or exchanged any notes. This is as raw as you can possibly have it, my friends. But you know what? Through extemporaneous connection, magical things happen. And today we are expecting magic to be created. So I don't want to keep talking myself. So how are you doing, Melahni?
I am great. It's Friday night and lockdown, here it is 14 days, right? I feel like we have been inside and really except for the grocery for 14 days. We've gone out 3 times. And so I think about like what is the world really like outside? It's not sunny and beautiful here in Indianapolis. It is rainy and foggy and cold. And so, we don't really want to go outside, which is a good thing. But yes, we're surviving.
Earlier on today, I went out and I went to my car. And guess what? I don't know. I mean, if you have it in Indianapolis, but here in Georgia, it was pretty much covered with that yellowish pollen, kind of a powder. And I said, what is happening? Now, do you have a lot of pollen in Indianapolis?
We do. And right now it's been like yesterday, it was beautiful. Probably 60 some degrees, sunny. So everybody wanted to go out. So we actually went to the grocery and took a little drive because we were just like, we got to get out of here, But today it's raining again. But yes, this is the season, right now, always right before Easter is when all of our beautiful flowers are blooming and the daffodils are up. And so you want to be outside and you just need to take precautions right now because it's a different time that we're living in.
That's exactly right. And let me just say hello, to Cassie. Cassie is so good that you are joining us. Now, Cassie, if you don't know Melahni, Cassie is the wonderful lady who does my hair. She cuts my hair, and so we connected. And it's so good that you're connected. And also Barbara. Barbara is joining us. Hello, Barbara. And but truly, it's definitely. And so I was saying to you, I went out and I went to Walmart because I needed to get some groceries. And guess what happened? And I tell you, I don't know if you, Melahni, you may have an answer for this. I certainly don't have an answer yet. But I picked up some groceries, and not that I needed, but I said, let me just go to the area where they keep paper towels and toilet paper and the bathroom tissue and so forth.
Where they used to.
Guess what? It was empty. I could not find anything. And so I went and I talked to someone and says, can you imagine that? What is all this that people are just grabbing toilet paper? I said, if there's one thing that this virus doesn't produce is diarrhea. So why is people hoarding toilet paper? What is that? The magic pill? I mean, that people need to have toilet paper in their homes? I mean, what is happening?
It's so funny that you say that. We're all talking about that. And I think it's just because people are panicked that if they have to stay in their house, and they need to have toilet paper, that they are going to run out. And I'm like, so literally, if you go to Sam's Club or Costco and you buy one of those big rolls, and you have a family of 4, so how long does that last you? I don't know, maybe 2 months, right? But now you need 12 of those big rolls because I just think it's really funny. I don't know. I mean, people are home more, so I will give them that, right? So they're not going to be at work and they will be going to the bathroom in their house all the time.
That's
versus
right.
being somewhere out, right? And so I give them that. Maybe they need double the toilet paper that they would normally need. But still, this is a pandemic that's going to last. If we all mind our manners and we stay at home, it should be over in a month,
That's right.
maybe. So we're hopeful, right, that this isn't permanent. If it's permanent, we're all in trouble.
I've been talking and connecting. I mean, through the technology of virtual connections. We have to maintain social distancing, and we have to keep those guidelines. I mean, in order to eventually get rid of this invisible enemy that we are fighting. But I said, I don't know, because I don't have a crystal ball, so I don't know how long these challenging times are going to stay with us, and they're going to, in a sense, change the way that we live. But there is one thing that I know for certain, and is that this will be over at one point or another. And just let's just keep riding this wave, and eventually no matter how dark the tunnel that we are going through is and how long it is, but we are going to get to the other end. Mm-hmm. Eventually, we're going to get to the other end, and we will be able to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So please don't worry. And it's not that when I say this, I don't want to minimize the difficulty and the challenging of the times. I really don't want, but we have to keep living life. I mean, life did not stop, and life will not end, and the world will not end, Melahni. So, I mean, just I said to some people, just take a pill, perhaps take 2 pills and chill out a little bit.
Yeah, it's just learning how to live with strategy. And, I think a lot of people have only planned for their work. So if they are career minded, they've gotten up and they've just gone to a place. Or like me, for many years, my place was an airport. I was getting on airplanes and traveling to people, to clients, to help different customers. And so for me, I would get up and go to the airport, and I would get on a plane, and I would be getting in the rental car and all of that. Now, I haven't done that in a while, 6 or 7 months. So that didn't really change overnight for me. But I can tell you the things that I have implemented in the last 6 months, I am still able to do today just because of this environment. So things that I took control over for me, as things were all already changing in my life, right? So I wasn't getting on a plane every day, and I was going through a lot of transformation in my life. And so I started a Bible study. So I started a Bible study every morning at 7:30 on October the 1st. So
October the 1st of
of last of,
2019.
of last year.
Okay.
And it was so I'm a John Maxwell person. And so John Maxwell has a Minute with Maxwell sessions that he does every single day that are released. They are pre-recorded. So, but this one came on one day in September. And, sometimes you listen to all of them and sometimes you have them in the background. But for some reason, I was really intent on playing this one. And it said, if you do this every day, it will change your life. And I thought, oh, I need to really listen to this. And so what he talked about was studying the book of Proverbs, right? And
Yeah.
so many people have said that in my life, but John said it in a way, it was a challenge. It was, if you believe that you are going through something or transformation, you should try this. And for 31 days. And so that was the middle of September. And I thought, I should start this in October. I should really be intentional about this.
Yeah.
So I posted it online in my different groups, and I had a few people, join me the first day, and then I had Sonia Etchemendy. She's also a JMT member.
Yes.
She texted me and she said, Melanie, this is a really great idea, and it's something that I really need to do right now. But your 7:30 Eastern time is 6:30 my time. So I'm sorry, but there's no way that I can join this. I'm just so sorry that I told you that I would, but I can't do it. And so, what was funny is in about a couple of weeks, so we get to October 15th, and I have about 7 people that have joined and that have dedicated every single morning. Now, next Wednesday is April the 1st. And we will have been doing this for 6 months every single morning. Every single morning. And we're not just studying Proverbs. We've gone on from Proverbs to Corinthians to Luke, and we've studied all these different books of the Bible. And now we're doing Psalms up until we thought it would be great to do Psalms through Easter. But what's great about this is we're using the John Maxwell Leadership Bible.
Okay.
And a lot of people, they have different versions of that, or
Yeah.
some people have never heard of the John Maxwell Leadership Bible. They're like, well, is John Maxwell religious, right? Well, he's a minister, but a lot of people don't know that he was writing for ministry, and then his actual teachings, and he will tell you this, they connected so much to the business world that's when it transformed what his real brand was, because business leaders were saying, if I can use these leadership principles, and these are really just themes, they're just really themes of leadership. And so he continued to write these books and more of a business nature too. And so what's happened is he has a great influence in the world of leadership now. And so anyway, we've been studying that, and it's been wonderful, because what we learn is, as we've been preparing, Proverbs prepared us as this foundation in October. And then we continued to just realize, when we show up, when we read the scripture the day before, and then we get on and we study as a group, it is so powerful, because it literally speaks to every single one of us. And so that time to be able to gather and to share and to just understand what we should do to apply these lessons in our life, that has been the most powerful 6 months, I think, that I have done something so intentional, and it has truly turned out to be one of the biggest gifts.
You mentioned, and I love that. I love the fact that you shared that, because first of all, yes, John Maxwell. When he shared, the story of how because he started, and he was a pastor of one of the largest churches here in San Diego. And so other pastors were coming to him just to see, how did you do that? And how can I increase my influence and so forth? And he was doing leadership conferences as a pastor, but his transition, I mean, from being in the pastorate to then do leadership teaching and personal growth and development to the non-religious world, in a sense. It's a fabulous story, and it's just an incredible transition. But of course, in the words of John Maxwell himself, I mean, he says, what is leadership? Leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. So that's what, for all of you, I mean, who think that leadership is a title and leadership is a reputation and leadership is anything else, forget about it. Leadership is none of those things. Leadership is influence. And I would say not only influence, but is the ability to be a servant to other people, to serve other people without expecting anything in return. I think that is what the heart of a true leader is. And if you ever attended a conference with John Maxwell, or if you ever read his books, his message is very powerful, but is very short and succinct. Is adding value, people of value who value people and add value to people. That's it.
That's it. And that's it. That is it.
and it is a very powerful message, because in order to add value to people, there are a few things that we have to pay attention to. First, we have to realize, and you have to realize, and everybody else has to realize, that we have value within us. First of all, we have to realize that we have value. Now, once you realize that you have value, and some people may look at me and may hear me and says, but I mean, that is obvious. Well, it's not very obvious, because not many people think that they have value that they can give to others. So it's not very obvious. So the first step is you believing that you are a person of value. And once you determine that, then that gives you the freedom to begin adding value to others. But there is one thing that is missing there, and is the fact that before you can start adding value to others, you have to grow yourself. Because John says also, you cannot give to others what you do not possess yourself. And I think that with you, Melahni, as a matter of fact, I mean, for all of you, I mean, you don't know, but yesterday I had a wonderful telephone call, I mean, with Melahni. And Melahni and myself, I mean, we are high eyes in the scale of personality profiles. And when two eyes come together, is like a bomb is about to explode, you know, because I mean we are, I mean, we can just keep going and going and going and going, but don't worry, I mean we are going to end this this time at a reasonable hour.
That's hilarious.
But isn't that you know, I want you, Melahni, to say, because when we talked on the phone yesterday, you shared with me a very powerful story. I mean, Melahni worked for many years as a corporate trainer, okay? I mean, doing trainers and facilitating trainings and creating new trainings, creating new content. And guess what? She put 200% or even more of herself into what she was doing. And unfortunately, I mean, she was not recognized for the value that she was providing and giving. And so she says, well, what the heck with that? I mean, I want to keep adding value to people. And then she became a John Maxwell. She joined the John Maxwell team. She became a certified speaker, coach, and trainer. So just tell us a little bit about that and the transition, and how are you feeling right now doing what I think you were created to do?
Well, I think, when you work in corporate America, you are given an opportunity to go in and do a job. And usually that looks like a job description. And usually you are on a team of people, and, it's a growing period. And so for me, for many years, for 10 years, worked at a medical company, and I was really comfortable. I was really comfortable, and I loved it. And I loved adding value to my customers, but I wasn't growing. And so I left. It took me 3 months to make a decision to leave. And when I did, I knew it was for opportunity. So opportunity, not just financially, but to be able to do some things to challenge my own self, to grow and become a different person. And so I just saw that. I saw that I really needed to just stretch myself. And was it scary? Oh my goodness, was it scary? Um, but what I learned is, everybody that had worked with me for those 10 years said, "Oh, you're going to regret it. You're going to regret it. You're going to leave. And here's what's going to happen. You're going to be with a lot of corporate people that aren't family." The old company was more like family. It was one of those that you had to die to leave, because nobody ever got fired. You just showed up and you added value, and the culture was so good. But the culture was also one of those things where it didn't allow you to be challenged. When you got to a certain level, you just could continue to add value, but like you said, you weren't filling up yourself. And so trying to find that in a company was like, at that point, that's what I believed. The company's responsibility was to fill me up. And so I was looking for a different opportunity so that I could grow. So I left. I went to this corporate opportunity, and I was challenged. I got to do many things. I got to develop product training, and I got to go international and develop modules and materials, and do facilitation, and really create from the ground up. Really understand how to help change behaviors, and how to really influence change all over the world. And it was unbelievable. And as you continue to grow, and you continue to get the can you do this in 2 weeks? Oh, can you do this over the weekend, right? Everyone started to realize that all you want to do is add value. You just want to show up and be a part of it and make it great. And but what I realized is everybody really had an agenda that was around me. Everybody had this agenda. And I thought, gosh, if I could have had the same energy, or the same momentum, or the same ideas, right, at the old company, if I could just blend the two, wouldn't it be a perfect universe? Having that comfort, and knowing that everybody was there to add value. But that wasn't what it was going to be. And so what happened is, after almost 5 years, this company that I had given everything to told me that I had no value. Right? They told me I had no value, and my position was being eliminated. And one of the most difficult things for my mind to get wrapped around, because I was like, wait a minute, I gave up a lot to be here. I have done everything to show up 300% every day. And it was just such a shock. So for me, when I left that organization, it was just quite a blow, to your ego, to your attitude, to your belief. And so I came home, and I thought, this is probably the best thing that's ever happened to me. It really is, because I realized I was not with the right like-minded people. I did not have an agenda. I did not intend to undermine people. I did not want to backstab people. I just wanted to help. I just wanted to help and show up and help. And so I realized if they don't want you there, you don't want to be there. They don't see it. They're right. I don't have value for them.
That's right.
So I quickly, got connected to another company, and through that was able to deliver even more value. And so I started a podcast in the middle of all this that was really to celebrate leaders, to celebrate people that had great influence in their lives, but maybe not even realized that they were leading people, right? They were just doing things great. They felt passionate about how they showed up in their careers or in their families or in their communities. And so 3 years ago, I started this podcast called Everyday Leaders, and it's on all platforms, but it's Everyday Leaders 50 in 50. And so it's 50 shows in 50 weeks every year. And then I decided, because I was so passionate about this, right? When you pour into your own life and you pour into people, and you want to just do more, and you want to show up, and you want to celebrate people. So every year now I have a leadership summit from the guest from the previous year, and it's an opportunity for them to come in and be celebrated and connect to the community, and deliver really their messages of hope and inspiration. So that's what I'm doing now, and we have an Airstream mobile studio that we've designed, and we're going to take it to events, and we're really just building the brand, if you will, of what is it to be an everyday leader and to lift and celebrate people that want to also believe in their journey of leadership. And so it's always been my niche. And so now I've figured out how to have my own voice around it. And so that's what's exciting, because like when we connect to somebody in your soul, whether you're a D or an I or an S or a C, right? You care about helping and lifting others. And so that's what being an everyday leader is showing up to lead yourself so that you can lead others.
I heard it so many times, Melahni. It doesn't matter what your personality is, because when I went and I got certified as a DISC facilitator, everybody was asking the same questions. What is the best personality? I mean, is that a D because they are driven and they are go, and or is the I's, I mean, very inspirational, very spontaneous, I mean, wanting to connect with others? Is it an S? I mean, they want to be helpers, I mean, they want to extend their hands? Or is it a C, a very cerebral? I mean, everything has to be in its place, and I have to check it 150 times. I mean, and so forth. What is the best? And the answer was very simple. None is the best, or all are the best. Mm-hmm. I mean, it doesn't matter. What matters is that to realize who you are in terms of a personality, because when you realize who you are, you can begin to help others, and you can begin to realize what, like for instance, yesterday on our phone call, we talked for a little while, and I suddenly realized, and I said, Melahni, you are an I, aren't you? And says, yes, I am an ID. And you can pick it up, because that passion, that desire, I mean, that charisma that flows even through a phone line, through a phone wire, I mean, it's just unbelievable. And you can pick up the vibrations. And when you do that, then you can connect with the other person from a better angle, from a better perspective, and the connection is so much better and so much effective and efficient. But let me ask you a question. I mean, because I know, I mean, yes, we are in quarantine right now, and we are with social distancing, and we are staying at home, and so life is changing. I mean, has changed and is changing. What I mean, what are some of the lessons that perhaps you have learned through this time, or you are currently learning as we move through or navigate through this kind of shark infested waters? In a sense. So what are things that you can share with us that you have perhaps, I mean, you became much more aware. I mean, your level of awareness has grown into how to make the most of this situation.
You know, I think we can't panic, right? We all want to panic immediately when we hear on the news, we have to change right now. And so for us that are leadership coaches, right, when we do this every day and we show up and we try to add value to people and say, well, what are your strengths, right? We're always trying to identify what are your strengths and how would you use those strengths if you really wanted to, right? Because a lot of us don't use our strengths. We are afraid of those because people have told us, oh, you don't want to do that. Because again, really, it's about that other person. And so I think the biggest lesson has been to help people understand what their strengths are, what their true gifts and their true strengths are, and how they can show up and feel so good about giving from their authentic self, whatever that looks like for them. It can be baking, it can be sewing, it can be running an errand, it can be making a phone call, it can be anything, but it's what their personality and what their strengths give them the ability to show up as authentically. And so it's not like here's a list, pick one or two of these things and do them, right? It's stepping into people are now, they have the time because they're at home with their families, or people that are older that don't have their grandkids in the same city and they live by themselves. I have had so many people reach out that they want to learn how to get online. They want to learn how to use FaceTime that they've never used on their phone. These are really simple things, right? But they're very scary to a lot of people. Doing this is very scary for many people, right? Because any personality, it's, well, the C is going to be, well, I have to have everything set up exactly the way it's got to be, and I have to test it, and I have to test it. I have a little bit of those tendencies too, right? So you go, well, yeah, I'm a high I, because as one of the social media things said today, the fun part about it is the high I's, they can't connect, they can't hug you, but they can make different hand waves, and they can say, how are we going to do this today, right? We're going to show up and do it this way. So it's different, right? But we're all going to show up as we're supposed to show up now.
That's right. I was in a conversation maybe a couple of days ago. I mean, with a friend, and we were talking about this situation with the coronavirus, and I heard it from a few, and they say that as what happened pre 9/11 and post 9/11. I remember that pre 9/11, if you were going to fly from an airport, and it was an international flight or any flight, and you have some family members that wanted to say bye to you, they could actually come to the gate and see you leave there. No security, no nothing. I mean, it was, I mean, the airport was as free to go anywhere you wanted to go. Now, how things change post 9/11, there were people that actually missed connections and flights because the security line was too long and they could not get to the gate. Because so things change. Now, do you think that they are going to be, I mean, for me, and I'm sure that for you is the same, as being an I mean, I am the type of person that if I meet someone, I mean, I just go, I hug them, I kiss them, hello, how are you? And so I am the kind of the touchy feeling kind of a person. Now, do you think that are things going to change in such a radical fashion that social distancing is going to be the new norm
No.
moving forward?
No, I don't think so. I think we're gonna get back to normal. I think it's gonna be even greater that
Oh,
people want to gather together to add value to people. I think there's gonna be a sense of community that comes together because there's such a need that they can do that now, right? They can show up and they can provide assistance. But I think what's gonna change for a lot of companies is the way that they think about how they deliver services. So if they have always, people all everybody needs to fly in to a certain place to have a big meeting, and they need
okay.
to spend thousands of dollars on these, training meetings or corporate workshops or board presentations, right? Or and the expectations that people will be away from your families for days at a time because this is the only way that we knew that we could get this done, right? The accountability and the
Yeah.
responsibility from these leaders, the only way we could get this done was to be controlling your physical space, right? And so I think that may change quite a bit. If this lasts for another couple of months, I think companies are going to have to see, like medical companies, right, that I've always been affiliated with.
Hmm.
So medical companies, they are still showing up to do procedures for patients. Reps are still showing up because, doctors are trained on how to save the patient. But many times, what a lot of people don't realize is these medical reps, these device reps, are there to guide and show the nurses and the doctors how to use the equipment. So it's the safest when there is a representative there that's been trained on it.
Yeah.
And so I think what that happens now is for many of these industries that you have to be there, right? There are certain situations, but there are a lot of times when we've said, well, the expectations are this is the way that we have always performed because we know we can get these types of results.
Hmm.
And I see a lot of companies that are changing their thought process now because they have to, but because, and then they have to be creative on, well, how do you connect to your teams and how do you make that, this new stage of accountability? What are the creative ways that people can show up and tell you how they're going to be accountable? Right? Because now they've got their families at home. It's not just they're working at home and their kids are at school. They really have to strategize on what's going to be the new norm for them. So if they're having to set up an office in their house, if they have to go out into their car,
Hmm.
to have a conference call, whatever that looks like, people are really having to figure this out and pretty quickly because it was one day you could go into the office, the next day all your files are there. You have to get online and get them,
That's
right?
right.
And so it wasn't like we could plan for it. And so what we talk about in our leadership trainings, right, is the fear of change. Nobody wants to go through change. They want the results, but they don't want to go through it.
I guess I tell you one thing. I mean, you touch on a very interesting subject, which perhaps we can discuss in another Facebook Live. Definitely, I think that, I mean, that we have topics, I mean, that we can share for many years to come. But the subject of the fear of change, it's a real fear that people have, and we hear it from many different sources. The fact that people who have been able to achieve success, or a certain level of success in their lives, is because rather than fearing change, they welcome change. They made change not an enemy to be fearful of, but a friend that the better the relationship you could have with change, the better you're going to be on the other side of change. You know, I heard it many times. Change as perhaps developing a new habit is very messy at the beginning because you have to change everything. Let's say someone who has never gotten out of bed at 5 a.m. in the morning, and he decided, says, I'm going to change my waking up habits. I'm going to start getting up at 5. Okay. Do you think that the first time that alarm goes off at 5 o'clock, that person is going to say, 5 o'clock, I'm going to jump out of bed and stuff? No, he's going to say, oh my goodness, I mean, do I have to? So it's going to be very messy at the beginning. But once you keep doing it and once you go through that change, eventually is going to get easier and easier. And even it's going to be a point that you can say, I love this. How could I possibly not have gotten up at 5 o'clock for all those many years?
It is. It's the way you structure it, right? It's all the way we look at it. When John said this week on, the live training, the streaming that he did for the training, and the biggest quote I think that I took away from this week was, what you view, you do.
That's right.
And so it's all about when you see, and he trains us, when you see more before, because now you're opening your mind to clarity and you're seeing the possibilities of what could be. And so then you try to figure out how to put the people in your life to create that, because you see that it can happen. And so I think it's kind of like telling ourselves to just take a deep breath right now and saying, first of all, this isn't permanent, right? This isn't permanent. This is something that we have to sacrifice for other people and ourselves, because if we get the virus, we can spread this. And so we have to just mind our manners. We have to listen. We have to stay within our own domain so that we don't contract it and we don't spread it. And so that will help the population the best. And so then after the 14 days or the 24 days or however long we have to do this for, that we can go back to what will be what we would say is normal, but we're going to show up differently. We're going to be more resourceful because, we don't have to necessarily spend all of that money in our budget, right? For companies, I think it's going to be, we don't have to spend that money in our budget to do the things that we thought were necessary, because we were able to show how much of a deeper connection or accountability that we created through this crisis. And so, I think there's going to be so much that we're learning from so many people, and it's really exciting. I think, here we go with the eyes, right? We're always excited to show up and be here, but I think you have to see good in it, and you have to motivate people to try to see the good in all of this, because we can't control it. That's the thing. We can't control it.
Oh, no, that's exactly right. Hey, listen, Melahni, I know that, we could certainly, go on for a very long time, but I want to be very respectful of your time. And so I really, you cannot imagine, how much I appreciate, the opportunity that we had, to be together and to really, I wanted people, to really, I know that you have a great following of people, but I'm going to post, not post, but this is just live, on my page. So the people that are part of my community, are going to get to know another leader, another great influencer. And just before we wrap this up, a couple of things. First of all, is if people want to get in touch with you, they want to contact you, I mean, how would they be able, I mean, to do that? I know that you mentioned the podcast. Listen, for all of you, I mean, who are watching, Everyday Leaders 50 in 50 podcast, and she says in pretty much all the platforms. So if you are like an Apple, I mean, just go to Apple Podcast, search for that,
and look for the coffee cup. Look for the coffee cup. The coffee cup right behind me. That's my logo.
That's right. The coffee mug there. Just subscribe and listen to that. But what are other ways, I mean, that people can get in touch with you, Melahni?
Yep. You can go to my website, which is everydayleaders.com. Appropriately, right?
That's right. Guess what? I should have guessed that was the URL of your website.
But you can find out. I'm doing a lot of stuff. We just had a leadership summit a couple of weeks ago, and so you can see some of the speakers, the video clips from there, and I've got lots of stuff online to show you the appreciation from the guests from the last 2 years. And then I have classes coming up, leadership classes that are coming up on my favorite book, The 15 Laws of Growth.
Oh, wow. I love, and listen, if by now you did not get the message from Melahni, she does everything not with good intentions, but intentionally. And the very first law of that book, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, is the law of intentionality. And what a great teacher, Melahni, to that's right, to go and facilitate. I mean, that book. I mean, that's going to be great.
You know, John told us. I'll tell you this real quick. But John,
sure,
at the IMC, March 22nd, 2017, challenged me, and I love challenges. You know, the D in me loves the challenge. Mm-hmm. And so when he said, "Study the book, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, and it will change your life," and I thought, okay, here we go. So I did, but I've studied that book every single week intentionally since March 22nd, 2017. So for the last 3 years, every single week, I have studied that information, every theme, every chapter with a group of people, sometimes different groups, sometimes twice a week. But what I love about it is true. Everything in that book, I believe, I'm a person of faith, and I believe that it resonates with the 10 Commandments. And so it gives you, again, practical application on how to become a better leader and just a better person, you know, whatever you're trying to strive for. And it gives you the confidence to be able to figure it out and design a growth plan. So online on everydayleaders.com, you can look at that. You can also join our devotional. It's every single morning at 7:30 a.m. It's you can just join the link right there and join us. If you don't have a leadership Bible, it's okay. You can just
it's 6:30. Did you say? No, 7:30.
7:30 Eastern. So with you, it would be
no. I'm Eastern time, so it's 7:30. Yes,
7:30 Eastern. Yep.
But is that a Facebook group?
It's a Zoom conference. It's a private conference line. And so all you do is go on to the everydayleaders.com website.
And they get the link from there.
And it says join the mastermind, and you just click right there and you get the link. So
okay.
Yep. And we love new people because we have lots of people that come and go or can't do it every morning, but we say any day or every day.
That's right. And so when are you starting? I mean, the study on the 15 invaluable laws.
April the 5th is the first day, and this class we're going to do on Sundays from 7:30 or 7 to 8:30 p.m. So 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. for 5 weeks, and we'll start that on April the 5th.
Okay, so you're going to do 3 laws per session.
Kind of. I've got it designed how I've kind of learned that it works. Some of the laws grouped together. So kind of a foundation class, a 101 class for people that have never taken the 15 laws of growth before, or people that just want to go through it again. Because what I find is every time I go through it every week, you know, your situation has changed and your perspective has changed. And so it really helps you to think into where you are right now. And I think today with the scarcity mindset of people of what am I going to do next? I've lost my job. I've got 3 kids. I don't know what to do or where to turn. It's helping them think creatively, right? It's helping a lot of our families and even elderly that have not had a class like this in a long time to just step into what their gifts are and how they have value in the world. So,
Exactly.
yep.
Well, I tell you, I am very appreciative, and I tell now that I know you, I will certainly not disappear. I mean, I will because I mean, when it happens, I mean, when I talk to someone and there is a connection, I mean, with someone, then I guess the wheels in the brain, I mean, begins to turn, and the neurons begin to communicate with each other. It says, what can we do? I mean, to keep adding value, and that's the key, to keep perhaps collaborating and adding value to as many people as we possibly can. So I really, I'll stay in touch.
Thank you. I'm so glad. And post in the Everyday Leaders group, on Facebook. Come there and post things of inspiration, because I absolutely love for people just to show us what are you doing every single day to add value to people, and that's what we share. And so come to our group and participate.
Sure, I certainly will. So for all of you, I really appreciate. I mean, those who have been and joined with us, the ones that are going to get the replay. Just this. I hope that this has been of value to you, has added value to your life, has influenced your life. And it's always great. And before I close every Facebook Live, I want to remind you to live every moment, to be resilient, and also to be kind, to be passionate, be well.